Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm so happy to have you. To my previous subscribers, welcome back to the channel. So for today's video, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We do this normally, occasionally on the channel. But here today, welcome back. It's going to be something that you've probably never seen before done by any other tarot card reader. Today, we are going to be asking the question, how will history remember 45, Muskrat, former Vice President Harris, and all the other important people, including how the Republicans and the Democrats, and how will history look upon the United States. Now, the thing is, I'm going to ask my guys to tap into the energies and the frequencies of accurate historical information. Because if I just say tap into a textbook, we all know whoever is the winner is the one who changes the history of the books. You don't need a device to be able to alter history. You just need to have the ability to have power to change the books. And if you change the books, history has indeed been changed. So, with that being said, we are going to delve in and kind of take a bird's-eye view, a bird's-eye perspective from far away from right now and see how will history look upon this very moment. Because I have found that when I do this type of reading, it is profoundly more accurate than any other because it looks towards the likeliest outcome and tells us from bird's-eye perspective, this is how the world sees you. This is what happens. And that is what we're going to do today. So, this video is being recorded on Thursday, February 6th at 11:54 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that is when we were recording this video. If you want to help out this channel grow more and more and more, I highly recommend you go and do so. You can do so by engaging with the content. You can do that by liking, subscribing, hitting the bell icon, or even commenting in the comment section below. If you can't do any of those, that's completely okay. You can also help out the channel grow just by watching this video longer than normal. And you tell the algorithm, hey, I like this content, show me more. It will show you more of my content. But it will also show you other psychic tarot card readers and astrologers that you yourself can watch. So it helps me, helps you, helps everybody. So engage. That's all I got to say. If you want to go and you want to be notified when I do post and upload, do not worry. I do have a Facebook group and a Blue Sky account, which you can go into the comment section below and follow, and you will be notified when I do post and upload. Plus, you have a direct line of connection to me, and you can bypass the YouTube comment section, which, believe it or not, been happening. A lot of the comments been deleted once again. So try and stay away from referring to words like Elon, 40 Trump, stuff like that. Refer to them like Bellin or Muskrat or whatever. I don't really like the idea of making fun of people. I really don't. But Muskrat seems to be the terminology that many tarot card readers are using. So I'm going to have to use that in order to make it understandable to see, okay, what's the content really about. Because if I just say musk, you're going to know. But if I say muskrat, you're definitely going to know. But if I say something entirely different that you're not familiar with, you're not going to know what I'm talking about. So we're just going to call them muskrat, but I do not endorse anything that makes fun of someone else because we want to be at the light consciousness, not at the dark consciousness. All right, anyway, besides, with that being said, this video is just for entertainment purposes only and for educational purposes only as well. All right, so let's begin. Let's see what we're going to do today. Spirit and angels, how do we start, really, is the word I might need to use. How do we start? Okay, so it's telling me in order for us to start, really, in hindsight, we need to be able to talk about the United States and how would the United States be in the historical books? How would the United States be viewed upon decades from now, years from now? All right? Let's go and take a look. And this will give us a little bit of a keynote into what 45 might do and what the Democrats might do, and whether or not they do anything, right? Now, this could very well change, but more than not, they kind of don't. I had noticed that they kind of don't. If anything, it's really the interpreter that interprets them incorrectly, and I always say this many times, I will continue saying that the tarot cards are never wrong. It's always the interpreter that's wrong, because sometimes we're not meant to know certain things or interpret things in the correct manner, because we could accidentally reveal information that's not yet known for man. So just keep that in mind as well. I'm not always going to be 100% accurate in my words, and I don't ever intend to be. I'd rather be wrong in some of my things, because I'd rather good things happen than bad things, and I'd rather be wrong about it. So to keep that in mind. All right, so let's begin. Let's take a look and see how will the United States be remembered years from now. So spiritual angels tell me, how would the United States be known for? What would the United States be known for, let's say 30 decades from now? What would the United States be known for? Okay, so I said 30 seconds, right? I mean 30 decades, which means 30 decades is a very long time, right? That is very far, far into the future, which makes the United States kind of have the same time frame as the Romans, right? And as we start to get closer to today, we'll start to see how people view the United States differently. But this is 30 decades down the line, which means this is kind of like a historical empire at this point. At this point, 30 decades from now, the United States is gone completely. It is gone. The United States is not even in existence. It is known as a bygone empire or a bygone era. The United States has completely dissipated. Like the country, everything, just gone completely. However, the first thing that I got was, this is the cancer card. Now, this is a cancer card. This is July. This is the Independence Day of the United States, right? We talked about how cancer is a symbolic astrological keynote and zodiac sign for the United States. The first thing I got when I put that card down was failed experiment. So the United States 30 decades from now will be considered a failed experiment, something that completely failed entirely. In 30 decades, if I'm correct, how many decades are in 100 years? I feel kind of embarrassed. I don't even know that. Okay, okay, so if 100 years, that means 10 years, so that's 10 decades, which means 300 years from now, how would the United States be viewed upon? It's completely gone in 300 years. Like, it's not even there in 300 years. The energy is just gone. So let's just say the United States is 249. It's going to be 249, which is going to be plus 300. This should essentially put the United States at 549 years old. But we don't know exactly when the United States dissipates. We really don't. But the United States, at this point in time, is no longer there by 549 years, including when it started, but 300 years from this very point. So that's very interesting to say the least. You know, I can't even speak English. So let's say, for example, just to give you a better time frame here, it's 2025 plus 300, which puts us at 2,325 years from now. The year is 2325. That is the year that we're looking at this from. The United States is no longer there. The United States is gone by this point. But I also want to keep you in mind as well, the United States that we know today might not be the United States of the future, which means that that could be what's coming in as well. Like, this is the end of the United States as we know it. But there might be a new United States. It might have an entire new name. Keep that in mind as well. Just because we said the United States is gone, there could be other ways in which it can manifest itself. So, the cancer card is indicating a failed experiment. We don't know what exactly is that failed experiment. Because remember, when the United States was founded, it was founded on a constitutional republic idea. It was founded on an authoritarian style formality of a government. It was not ever founded on a democracy, which means how could a democracy fail here in the United States? It was never founded to be a democratic institution. Same thing with a fascist one. It's a failed institution in itself, which is the constitutional republic failed in the United States. Here we have the crumbling of the nation. And it kind of gives me the very similar ambiance of how we view the Roman Empire. So the way that, the Roman Empire fell with a lot of politicians partying and doing drugs and all those things and just, having massive parties and bankrupting the country. It's kind of essentially what I see here for the United States. The United States is very similar in terms of its fallout and its crumbling of what happened to the Romans. I think a lot of people will be very fascinated by the United States and its failed experiment, and people will be wondering what if it actually succeeded? What if it continued to go on to this very present day? What would the United States do, and how much would the world change around the United States? So that is something that's really going to be interesting. This is from a historical point of view from 300 years from now. Now we have here on the right side, we have the knight, the cup, again partying, them doing drugs. I feel If just say, there was an outcome where there was another case of billionaires taking over the US government, then I would say it's the nail in the coffin. I would say that. Even if this is the moment where it's done and final, right? Then it will be because of partying and robbing the country and just having parties in the White House. The same way the Romans did. That is the ambiance, is that the fall of the nation fell because of the people they had in power. And because of the corruption, it fell to its knees and the experiment failed. That is 300 years from now. That is how people view the United States 300 years from now. Let's go and take a look and see 100 years from now. So that will put us at 20, 21, 25. That is where it's going to put us. Let's see. How would they view the United States then? First Angels telling me how would the world see the United States of America in the year 2125 at this very moment in time? How would they view the United States? And what would the United States be known for? Okay, so the first thing I'm hearing is this is 100 years from now. I'm hearing what could have been never was. That's the first thing that I'm hearing from the United States. How do people view the United States 100 years from now? Like 21, 25. We have here, the first thing I got was massive protest, peaceful protests for stores. The first thing that they see is that a lot of people are very peaceful. They're protesting. But I feel like nothing is actually happening. I feel that you can protest all you want. It doesn't feel like it gets anywhere. It doesn't feel like anything gets done. It feels like whoever this is representing ignorance. It's representing, you can be protesting, but you're not looking what's ahead. You're looking to the side, but you're not looking forward. And because you're not looking forward, you're not able to see what's in front of you. You're not able to see your goal clearly. You're looking from one perspective. You're not seeing from all perspectives. So, what did the Four Swords tell me? The Four Swords is telling me that there is a failure in this protest. The hindsight to see one thing as one issue when there's a bigger issue at play. And it's being completely avoided because we are so narrow in our mindset that we're seeing it from one point of view, we're not seeing the bigger picture. The next card, Libra. This is also going to be a fight for the people. The people will recognize this time in history from 100 years from now are the time that the people try and take their power. This is the Libra. Because you have this rocket. We all know who this rocket is. We know that's Muskrat. But here you have the people trying to pull down and be able to get them to win. But the sheer power and influence of the technology of this time is what outweighs the power of the people. But it's very solely determinative on how and when people are willing to pull it down and say, no, we have power, not the technology. We have power, not the billionaires who create the technology. That is the idea. This moment in time, this very moment in time, is how people view the people fighting the billionaires and those who create the technology to keep the people at bay. So that is what it's saying here, that there are going to be some that are very tactile, not doing anything at all. But there are also those who are actively doing something. But the problem is, and I will say this is the problem, you see how very few people there are, and that's not enough to pull it down and be able to have it become the victorious, the heavyweight. You see this person here protesting, where this person is looking at this, but they're not even helping, they're just kneeling. Because this is a collective thing. This is supposed to be a group of people unifying together to bring this down. It feels very tactile. It feels like the people, and I'm not saying this to offend anybody, but it feels like to me there are a huge group of people who feel like they represent the Four Swords, that they are not able to, or feel like they're not able to make a difference. But there are a few who are actually trying to make the difference. The problem is they're outnumbered by the people who think they can't do anything. That is how history looks upon this. Here we have the death. Now this is interesting because the first thing I got was what could have been, would have been. What would have been, could have been. And what would have been. Here's the death card. I'm also hearing the word death in the White House, which I have heard when I placed this card down. We don't know exactly what it means yet. It could be death in the White House, it could be metaphorical. It could be, say, something the end of the U.S. presidency. It could be the ending of how the government works and how the government system, maybe the fall of the White House. I don't know exactly what it means. But it could even be as simple and as straightforward as 45 passes away. We don't know exactly what it means yet because we had not yet to live it. But the death card is talking about something that could have been, should have been, but never was. The death. So maybe, just maybe, 45 escaped death again. And it was supposed to be the final nail in the coffin. And I see a lot of obsession over this. I'm seeing a lot of obsession how a leader was able to fake a death and how he was able to get by. And I'm also going towards back to July as well. We're going to do a video on that. We're going to do a video on that. Don't worry. We'll do a video. But how he was able to escape it, I think, is what boggles people's mind, was that he was in the line of fire, but somehow he avoided it. And it says here that there's going to be another one this year. Another one. But again, it takes an entirely different path. Now, just say 45 does succumb to, the illness or whatever it is that happened, and we wish good health for him. But just say he does, then the death card would be literal. But if it doesn't, then in this aspect here, he avoided it if he lived till the end of 2025. But also remember as well, this is a little snapshot in time. Spirit does not really know time the way we do. And I can just tell you right now and why. So just say here, for example, this is when you were born, this is when you died, and everything in between is your story. When you turn it to side, let me just move this so it's easier to see. When you turn it side to side, everything's happening simultaneously at once. You were born, you lived, and you died. And at the same exact time, nothing existed because it's all happening at once. You existed, you lived, you survived, and you died, and you never even were born. So, with that being said, the United States in particular, especially when it comes to 45, is that he is in hindsight a very specific individual, and that Spirit is having a hard time to discern how we view time, because we view time as a linear line, and we can pinpoint when each thing happened. When you take that line, you put it in front of you, everything's happening all at once. That's how Spirit sees time, but the way that we view time is linear. I hope that makes a little bit more understanding for you. Now, underneath the death card reverse, we have the sun card reverse, which means revelation. Something was supposed to be revealed, but never was revealed. Something beautiful was supposed to come out of this, but it did not happen. Death, right? Something beautiful was supposed to imagine itself and come rebirth from the White House, but it just didn't manifest. Whatever that is, whatever that was supposed to be. And here on the right side here, we have the Fool card. The massive tornado, the crap fire of the electoral system. Things that we thought we knew about how things operate and work were no more. This would also be how the people will view the United States, specifically around this point in time, as a very significant moment and a very significant change in the climate pattern. This was going to be one of the major starts and the major years ahead. At this point in time is when climate change really kicked into high gear. Massive disasters and stuff like that. But not only in the electoral system, but also in the electoral structure of everything in the United States. Everything collapses to the bottom down. Everything is completely destroyed and obliterated. That is how the United States is viewed. But I always say that's a positive thing, because when things collapse to the ground, you can build back better. I always said Biden had the wrong slogan for the wrong time. That should have been the slogan for Harris when she runs in 2028. Build back better. Yeah, 45 destroyed and obliterated and rebuilding. That's completely okay. Because you can build it back better now. You can make it a better system. He just say he destroys the healthcare system. People only voted against the free healthcare system because they felt like the healthcare system didn't need some changes because it's the status quo, it's what they are used to. But the healthcare system is completely obliterated, then you can start from square one. You can actually do free healthcare, and people will support that. So sometimes building things from the bottom up is easier than building with a pre-existing notion of how things operate and work. So that is how the United States is viewed 100 years from now. We are now going to go into our last time. We're going to go to 2050. Now I want to keep you in mind now that what happened in 2050 might not be accurate. It's only 25 years from now. So, and the reason why I say it's not going to be accurate is because 25 years from now, they could be altering history by changing the books. So I'm going to ask my guide not to look at the books, but to look at how people and the mindset of the world see the United States, not those within the country. Because people in the country, here in the US, may see the world entirely different because they were told to. They're brainwashed to believe a certain thing. So therefore, how can we trust them to tell us how the United States really went down? So we're going to try and look and see from a bird-eye perspective, from another country, from another world, kind of see how the United States is perceived to be without any precognition of what's being entered into the brainwashing of these people. We're going to try our best. Spirits and angels, tell me, how is the United States viewed 25 years from now from a bird-eye perspective from somebody or from a country that is not biased for or against the United States, but sees the fact as they are? How is the United States perceived in this very point in time in history in the United States? How is the United States as we know it perceived, and how will history be remembered 25 years from now? In the year 2050. 2050, how will the world perceive it? Some of the stories. Again, this video is just for entertainment purposes only and for educational purposes only as well. And let's read. Okay, so the first card that we get is this, the Nine of Wands. The foundation of everything in the United States, even the Constitution, falls. Everything falls. There's nothing remaining, nothing standing. We have here the Knight of Wands. The technological bubble collapses, but it's the first one to recover. Because when it collapsed, it's the first one to recover into the age of Aquarius. So how will history be looked upon here in the United States 25 years from now from a bird-eye perspective from another country who sees the truth for the way it is in the United States without any sort of judgment or biases, saying here that the institution of the United States and the Constitution completely obliterated, gone. The Knight of Wands indicates that the collapse of the techno bubble and the rise of a new one. Underneath that collapse is also the fall of the military and how things work and operates in the military. So the fall of the honor. Fall of honor. So I don't know what it is, but it's the fall of honor. There is a complete disobedience to the people and the lack and inability for the government to work for the people. The next card is the fall of the educational system, what is called Tate University, the Hanged Man, the fall of the education. how men, and when I say men, I mean both women and men, but men as a collective fail to recognize the importance of education. The next one, the fall of the justice system, the fall of how justice works here in the United States, that is unable and unable to be impartial, how it's able to do the proper judgment, how it's able to discern certain things, right? That is how the justice system in the United States works. It's the collapse of that system. And I don't want you to be in a state of fear or scaredness. There's no reason for you to be scared. The United States is entering into a year of Pluto. Pluto resembles the collapse of every institution here in the United States. 2025, and specifically, that this year specifically, is the year of the numerology number 9, which means completion and the end of a cycle, of a start of a new one starting next year, 2026. It's a rebuilding phase, but we are now in a deconstruction phase, right? 2025. That is what we're getting in the United States. We're going to get that. That is something that's coming out of something that's always been there. We are also in the year of the Chinese snake, which also symbolizes the fall of structural integrity and the fall of collapse of system and institution. That is also something that is highly noticed. So all this energy, this combustion, alongside Pluto return, Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter, all in the United States birth chart, they will further stimulate and further push forth the notes and the collapse of the United States and the start and the rebuilding phase of the United States. When I did a video on this, if you want to go watch my video, How to Survive the Collapse of the United States, go and watch that video. It's not a bad one. I guarantee you it's not bad. But it's so symbolic on how to take a step back and not be in that state of fear, not be in that state of scaredness, and instead see from this perspective that this was all meant to happen as it should. And to allow it, not to allow our energy and feeling to get in the way of that, because you yourself will fall with it if you get in between the building. Stay away from the building, get on that valley, get on that hill, and just stay there and just watch. Okay, it's all going to happen regardless. Just sit there and just watch it crumble. And then watch the rebuilding phase. That's where the beauty comes. It's from the rebuilding, not from the collapse, but from the building a community, building something back better. And here we have the wall card, world peace. It goes into a dark phase. It does. I mean, this is the world card here. We have this telescope, there's satellite here. We can see right there where my finger is. And this is the fall of the world, right? How would history remember the United States 25 years from now? And how it would be perceived from a foreign country without any biases, just full truth, nothing but the truth. The United States falls in the world. The United States falls. Its standing, its political power, its influence shattered completely. It is no longer a superpower in any means, in any way, in any form. The economy shattered. The stock market shattered. Its purpose shattered. Everything that you know now is completely eradicated. Everything is gone. So, how will history view that? View it here. Now, we have here on the left side here, it's also some things on how they perceive certain things to happen in the United States. We have here the wildfires, right? And this is saying that there are climate issues that are caused by climate, but it's not exactly caused by natural means. It's caused by human means, which means that there are going to be a lot of disasters that's going to be sparked because of human intervention or something. I mean, it's pretty obvious that there's going to be deregulations, right? I mean, he's been saying this for a while. It doesn't take a psychic to know that. And this video is just for entertainment purposes only, and for educational purposes only. But it's that sense of, for the fire in essence, really, it's talking about the deregulation and how human mistakes will lead to many natural disasters here in the United States, including but not limited to one done on purpose, like the crashes in the flights and the skies and all those things. We're going to see a lot more of that. And this will not be the last of it. And there will be plenty of those. But again, these are not because of accidental errors or natural circumstances, but this is due on purpose by humans. Okay? So that is how some of the things happen in the United States. We also have the 5 of coins reversed, which means like homelessness, immigration, all those things. I feel like that stuff is going to start dissipating. So it feels like to me, we're going to go back to that. I want to go back to that. I feel like there's a little bit more information I'm not yet receiving from this card. So let's go ahead and let's go here. How will the United States be perceived 25 years from now from an unbiased nation? Country that's seeing the truth as it is in the United States. We have here Trump, right? This is a rally. 45 denies the one. This is a church, right? This is a church being political. What is something that is going to be symbolic is the Christian nationalists that's going to take over the nation. The United States, at this point in time, it's all going to be about that religion, is dark side, the dark humanity of religion. It's what's going to take over. That is the energy here. It's the aura of darkness. Don't be succumb to it. Don't succumb to that energy. Remember, you can choose to be two things. You can choose to be of the light consciousness, or you can be choose of the dark consciousness. Remember, most people go to church and stuff like that. Now, I don't mean this in a way to offend you, and I hope that you don't get offended. But some people go to church to make themselves feel better, right? But what they don't realize is when they go there and there's other people there, they don't always go for that intention. They go there to make themselves appear as if they can fool God, their God. They say, hey, listen, he doesn't know I did this bad thing. I could just murder somebody, right? For entertainment purposes only. They go there, and they sit down in the church, and they sit there and they say, oh, he didn't know, he didn't see that. I don't know. I went to church, I'm a good person. And that's the idea that people believe that by going into this institution, they themselves could be healed, that they're the sense of healing, they can be able to put away that negativity that they did and say that I'll be forgiven because I went to church. I will be forgiven. The same way that, an atheist goes out and does charity for other people. They did it with the intention, not because somebody's watching, but they did it with the pure intention of from the goodness within their heart. But some people do it because they believe that a God or entity is watching them and that they have no choice but to be good. It's the intent that matters more than the actual action, the intention. Right? We've seen this many times before. We've seen this story back in 1964 where people would do lynchings back in the South. They lynched people in the South and then they went to church and pretended that that did not happen because they view these people not as human. They dehumanized them. So they themselves could feel better when they go to the church and sit down and say, I'm a person of God. No, you are not. You are not the person of God. You are the person of Satan. Anyway, we have the next card is the Knight of Coins. And this is risk, billionaires. Billionaires taking a risk on the United States and risking everything for 45, the religion, the indoctrination, and basically essentially robbing the United States of its integrity and its value and its purposefulness. And here we have 10 of coins reversed, which means that these people are golfing. Interesting, they're golfing, right? But here's the bill, medical bill, and all these things. It's reversed, which tells me that they themselves clear any debt that they want, which means we're going to be in major debt. The country's going to be in major debt. They're going to bankrupt the country, but they clear out their debt. How and what else will the United States be known for 25 years from now? It's this. I'm not going to say any more on that. But there's also its reverse, which means it's the resistance as well. It's this and the resistance. So that is how the United States is perceived from a bird-eye perspective. What is underneath? We have the 7 of Swords reverse. This is Harris. Right? How would history remember this? The person who could have been never was and should have been. And here on the bottom of the card here, right after that, we have the 8 of coins. And you see here, I don't know if you can see it very clearly, but kind of imitate right in the center. Your picture that he's painting is somebody who's been sapped with the 10 of swords. Now, going back to the 5 of Pentacles, the United States will be remembered for what it does to immigrants. We don't know what he's doing because it's still very much in flux. But I would say it's not going to be one of good. Because the fact that it shows up here, as a remembrance of what the United States does in this very point in time, I'm going to say that whatever happened with the immigration, this is going to be a major issue. whatever happened. So, with that being said, we have all that. Now we just took a look at see how the United States is 25 years from now. I actually was just told that we are going to do 3 separate videos. We're going to do, well, we're going to do another one video. We're going to do a combination. We're going to do Biden, Harris. Well, we already know Biden. We know how history's going to remember him. We're going to do Harris, 45, and Muskrat. We already talked about the United States here. We're going to do another video on that. We're going to combine them too, because I feel like this video might be a little too long. Oh, it's only 35 minutes? Wow. Okay, that felt like, it felt like it was a lot longer than that. Okay. Alright, so, anyway, what we're going to do now is we're going to do how is the United States remembered 5 years from now. 2030, 5 years from now. And then we'll go from there and kind of see where we're at in terms of time. But I think we might just better off doing it separately. We'll do like a part 1, part 2 type situation. Alright, so let's see. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of today's video. I actually like it. It's pretty informative. I'm learning a lot. And you kind of see how, like, the further you go out, the key notes of everything starts shifting and changing. Like, we talked about how people, billionaires, 300 years from now, saw the United States at this very point in time as the fall of the United States is due to collapse of billionaires and drinking and, massive spending within the White House and whatnot. It's interesting to see what time period I'm talking about, because we weren't very specific. We just saw, like, what's the end of the United States, and that's how the United States ends. But we didn't quite yet talk about, like, we did what? We did 2050. No, we did 100 years, so we did 300, 100, 2050, and then we're going to do 2030. So that's kind of interesting to see, like, how as you get further out, the way everything remembers us now kind of becomes minuscule. We don't really get remembered for all the big things that happen. It just kind of fades over time and it just becomes grouped in this one massive category. Kind of like as you get further out, there's kind of like what you see. You don't really see all the big detail. And as you get closer and closer to this very time period, you get to see more of the information that comes out. Which basically tells you that over time, information just kind of fades. Things change. People forget. Things like that. Alright, so Spirit Angels, tell me, how will history remember the United States at this very moment in time 5 years from now, 2030? How will history look upon this very moment in time, this year specifically? How would it look 5 years from now? And take it from a bird-eye perspective, from a country that has no bias or any viewpoint, negative or positive, just independent and seeing the truth for what it is here in the United States. How will it view the United States 5 years from now? Tell me nothing but the truth. How is the United States viewed? I'm hearing the inability to claim power. Okay, final cards here. Top of the deck, Knight of Coins, Chiropractor, Grand Opening. Okay, what's the bottom of the deck? Ace of Cups. Something cooking. Okay, Ace of Cups. Alright, so how will history look upon the United States 5 years from now? How will it be remembered from a non-biased point of view? If everything happens the way it's going to happen, how will the United States be looked upon? 5 years from now, 2030. Okay. First thing we got is the King of Wands, the inauguration of 45. The inauguration. Okay. The first thing is a picture. A picture which is represented by the Three of Wands. Viewing something from a different perspective. How he was able to write the story and to paint the picture. He knew who she was. He knew the result, but yet he was able to create the story. He was able to dominate the story. The Three of Wands. We have the Temperance. The restrictive nature from everything, but breaking free. The chains of the people break free. Temperance. Trying to lock them up using greed and money. But here you have the angel in the background locked up, walking away. This means it's reversed, which means the angel is set free. And despite all the money and influence, he was not able to contain it. Here we have the Seven of Swords, Harris, what she would have represented for the United States, the what if scenario. What if? I don't think her story is yet over in 45 picture. Because I see her coming in the future as well. Because you have 45 here getting inaugurated, and you have a woman later on in the picture. Because this is up until 2030. The next election does not take place until 2028. Because we said here the people break their chains. Right after 45 gets inaugurated and he knew the outcome. People break their chains and here she is campaigning. But there's a Seven of Swords right now. It's reversed because she has not yet made the decision whether or not she's going to run. Here we have the Five of Coins. People will remember what happened with immigration. Without a doubt. But it also indicates to me a lot of people will be hurting when it comes to the economy. And things will get that false sense of security of good times are coming. When in retrospect, they are not. The economy is actually collapsing. It's a facade that the 45 administration has put forth. Pumping money out of the U.S. Treasury Department and putting them into the economy and making this facade that everything's going all and well. When in retrospect, it is actually collapsing and it's actually being inflated. The next card here is further amplified by Capricorn. The threat of war. Threat of war. Whatever 45 does in the month of February. And anytime when there's Capricorn, he will be remembered for threatening those nations. Threaten them in a way which we had not yet seen. So Capricorn. Wartime energy. It also tells me here the major threats. Doesn't mean we go to war, but major threats. Possibly even taking over countries, but he will be remembered for military intervention or major threats in the United States. Here we have the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords is somebody who's unable to walk. Right? But this is you still walk, you still persisted, regardless of how handicapped you are. Right? But it's reversed. He kneecapped the Democrats. The Democrats have been kneecapped when he became president. Kneecapped them. They kneecapped themselves, essentially. Underneath the Three of Wands, though, we have is represented by Earth 28. The first thing I got here, and I hate to say this, because it's true in essence, but I just don't want you guys to feel in a negative state. I want you to be in a positive state. 28, the Earth card, grounded. I also got slavery from this card. Slavery. For those of you guys who don't really know history or don't really know the legality of how things work in the United States still legalizes slavery. It just uses a different means of doing so. It uses it through the prison system, and by imprisoning a certain demographic, you don't really have to pay them a lot. You can actually pay them almost practically nothing. You can make them do labor, either punishment, and therefore you got slavery through a loophole. So slavery never left. It got modernized. Now, also keep in mind as well, slavery also needed to be modernized into modern terms so it's more distinguishable and unrecognizable. And so what they did was they opened their perception and definition of what slavery is classified as here in the United States by allowing all diversity to be classified as slaves. Okay, the Earth card is coming up underneath the Three of Wands, right? This is also indicating that you don't need to necessarily be in prison anymore. You can be in prison within your mind, right? Billionaires and the oligarchy work within the United States, and they work hard and efficiently, essentially, to essentially make it possible so that when you try and do anything to try and better your life, they make it more difficult. Right, the Three of Wands here underneath above the Earth card is telling me here that there will be a sense of difficulty. There will be, and that you can still experience slavery outside of the prison system through your own job, because you will be underpaid while you're struggling to afford even basic necessities. That is still a form of slavery. Now, we have here underneath the Temperance card, we have the Faith card. People lose faith in religion. They do. In 5 years from now, they lose faith in religion. That is nothing more than just a form of hate. It is a reason to justify a hate for somebody else. So that is also that justification. There's also that lack of faith for some. For those lack of faith, I'm referring to the idea and the notion that, okay, so even though there's faith in this aspect, but it's reversed, I'm also seeing a scenario and avenue where people use religion as a mean to get those indoctrinated. And once they got them indoctrinated, they're not necessarily following the religion anymore, they're following the cult. And that's essentially what he's saying here. It's saying the religion is no longer the cult. The cult is be able to be manifested through the form of religion and using religion as the gateway to a cult-like energy. Underneath the Seven of Swords, though, we have here the Leo. It's reversed. Now, this is the card that tells me the Leo is in a mountain range with snow. A Black Panther does not belong in a mountain range with snow. It belongs in the jungle. It's reversed, which tells me it falls right underneath Tower's card, right? Falls right underneath Tower's card. That the Seven of Swords, if Howard chooses to run, she will belong and be exactly where she needs to be. She will be exactly where she needs to be. So how will history remember the United States? It will remember all the bad stuff that 45 is doing. But there's a possibility that Harris could run again. And she could very well change all of that. That everything here is not permanent. But a reconstruction phase is beginning. And underneath this Five of Coins, we have here the Ace of Wands. And the Ace of Wands is the power. The unrecognizable power that people have. The people have the power. They just need to tap into it. They need to recognize that. But protest does work. Although it doesn't work long term towards, the end of the United States, it does work now. It works. You just gotta get out there, you gotta protest. Make it known. If the media's not telling you, make it known. Make other people see what they cannot see on their screens. Is what it's saying. Underneath this Capricorn, we have the High Priestess. The fall of the Constitution, right? The fall of the Constitution, but also the fall of women and the power of women. So there will be a dismantling of a war on women. That's what I'm seeing. A war on women. A war on women is what I'm also getting. Underneath that Capricorn picture. Here we have major climate changes, major things happening. Again, like I said, there's going to be major climates within the United States around this point in time that can be highly significant, and it will be caused by natural disaster, but there will be mostly, majority of them, I'll probably say around 87.68% of them will be related directly to humans. And it will be either with full intention or accidental, but it will be caused by humans. And the seven card on the left side of 45 is the Seven of Coins, which means tips. I want to say the FBI, the CIA, it looks like it's non-existent under the 45 term. The United States is, from this bird eye view, the CIA and FBI is out of view only for the certain time that 45 is in office. However, that does not mean that they are not in operation now. Keep that in mind. It does not mean they're in operation. They could be in operation behind the scenes. Okay, so the next three cards have finally put the nail in the coffin for how the United States is remembered 5 years from now, in 2030. We have the Knight of Wands, technological advancement, the taking away of jobs by AI and robots. We have the Three of coined, which means the disrespect for veterans and those who served the nation and those who fought for freedom, to only realize that freedom, the most dangerous thing you can do is let somebody take it from your own home rather than those from the outside, because a lot of Americans have been taught for a very long time that freedom can only survive here in the United States, but freedom is only threatened by those from the external factors. But yet they never teach you that freedom can be taken away from those from within, that there's an attack from within. And here we have the intelligence agency, the dismantling of the national intelligence and the abuse of national intelligence. But again, that's on the right side, and that falls right underneath Harris. Now, if you have watched my previous video, the shooting star, what was that video actually? Let me go and see what that video was, because that might be able to give you a little bit more information to really know what I'm talking about, and be able to go and watch that video because it tells you a little bit more information. It's talking about Leon staging a coup. That's the one that I would recommend you go and watch, because that one I talk about how, I talk about how like the United States, I kept seeing this dynamic here behind the scene. There's a shadow government and the government we see out in the open. And this would answer your question. National intelligence. All right, guys. This is how the United States will be perceived 5 years from now from an unbiased standpoint and point of view. All right, guys. I love you. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you all soon. Until then, peace out. I love you, and have a good night.